went out at some point in time. Do people have any changes, corrections, etc.?
I move to leave the minutes as submitted.
I second.
Go ahead.
Second.
Bill and Judy,
No, Brooks,
books,
he beat me.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain?
I would abstain, I was not here, thank you, sir.
All right, Parks and Recreation, I guess you're up.
There is no Parks and Recreation.
Oh, you're
here.
doing it?
Well, I'm really just gonna, say a couple quick things. I guess one of the quick things is that, the pond program is a little up in the air right now. So if you looked at, we still need the porta potties, we need the telephone, we need the electricity. The beach pond program staff and the beach activity supervisor and the pond program coordinator are iffy right now. We have two women who were born and raised in Lyme and have moved back here with their family, and they're interested in starting the pond program back up. So until we hear from them definitely, and until it's decided whether it will stay in this budget or go into the Recreation Commission budget, it's a little, this is up in the air.
Are we gonna be able to get lifeguards?
Lifeguards.
Jackets?
Well, we left the money in here for the lifeguards because that seems to be a really good thing for the select board to oversee. Not the rec commission. Hope everyone agrees on that. And the monitors. And then I left the rec director wages, obviously, and the miscellaneous, so. So you'll have to wait, I think, until after the selectmen's budget. I'm hoping, what the women are trying to do right now is find, somebody who's WSI certified to give swimming lessons. Cause that's a big chunk of the pond program, so,
Well, that's,
but we're
Big
excited,
chunk of the
everybody
town
wants to see
support
it
on
come back,
Yep.
right?
both.
But again, if it works to have it through the rec commission, and we have somebody who wants to run it, everything is there except for the swimming lesson section of it, so.
I think the town would support, and I don't know about the rest of the committee, but at least from my point of view, I would support if there needs to be a little extra money to have some swimming lessons out there.
yeah, swimming,
Because I really think everybody should be taught how to swim.
Absolutely.
Dartmouth has dropped the requirement that you have to be able to swim to graduate.
And it's surprising, the incredible increase in the number of students who drowned in the
Yes.
years since.
Yeah.
Someone who keeps track of all the
It's a
drownings,
little
during
sad.
students since 1769, it is frightening.
Yes.
Mhm.
They all decided they're
And yes,
gonna take a dip and swim across the river and.
Is
they
it
don't
like a
quite make it.
relative to the percent of total number of students? You know what I mean? Like, sure, there are
Mine is-
more people drowning, but there are more students to drown, right?
I actually have a spreadsheet on that.
Yeah, just
And-
curious.
But mine has to do with US born, and we added in urban, where you grew up, and if you had access to, there was a sociology class that we worked that out. And their recommendation was, no, you should definitely keep swimming, test and having swimming lessons, but they decided not to. And
Well, when I went to that school, we had to pass a swimming test our freshman year.
Well, everybody should learn to swim, period.
Or at least know enough to be comfortable in the water so you don't panic,
Right, so you can float.
yeah.
So I guess I can end by just saying, if it doesn't work out with the rec commission and we can have some sort of a bond program, you might see some funds coming back in there.
A suggestion, if you had swimming lessons that were at a specific place at a specific time, you know, so like swimming lessons are at 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning, wouldn't people be more likely to come or something?
Well, if we can find a WSI certified person, that's the problem right now.
That's the way you
Pond
do it.
program will be at a specific time.
All right,
It will include sports, arts, swimming lessons.
yeah.
Like it once did.
It's sort of a mini summer camp.
It's
Yeah.
like, it's a half day. Goes from 9 to noon.
Yeah, at my daughter's graduation, a visitor, two young boys were on a rope swing by the chieftain, and one went out, jumped in the water, never seen again.
Yeah, very sad.
Part of what Michael is
Yeah.
talking about, yeah.
All right,
I had one question related to the programming, but why have we only spent $150 on the porta potty?
Because that's an incorrect posting. They spent more.
Okay.
There's one out there all year, actually, so.
Well, yeah, but I don't wanna visit it if.
Yeah. Okay, it's been serviced every month, don't worry.
Okay.
It's not a long line.
Yeah, no. That was a mistake I saw after I printed all these, and I said, well, I'm not reprinting them.
Right.
Thank you for asking them.
thank God the state did something about the Grafton rest area with the porta potty. It opened up the real rest area, fixed the sewer system.
So you're on track to spend that full amount.
Mhm.
All right, anything else about rec? All right, I guess, Mike, you here for the cemetery?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, can I just interrupt real quick?
Yeah.
And on the parks part, the mowing bid is not this year's, we haven't received it yet, so that will change.
You take it, Pat?
Yes.
I am done now, Mike.
You take it, Pat?
Oh, thank you.
Cemetery Commission this year, we got some cool stuff going. And,
I guess we can share.
take a pass. So that showing a new memorial headstone that we just, we've been in planning for a while. But we got through pandemic and we have posted and installed, had this built to represent 2 of the 3 known enslaved people that were in Lyme, New Hampshire. And that's out at the Beale Cemetery, and we put that in last week. And we don't know where the third one's buried, third individual is buried. But the Lyme Cemetery, we are working closely with the school and with the historians, and we've got a bunch of cool programs that are going. And this one's out in Lyme Center, so I don't know how much school access there's gonna be, but it's just a lot more kind of interesting stuff that's happening this last year and coming up in the next year. We've got a couple things planned. Our budget, a lot of our budget stuff that otherwise would have been showing expanding is really carried by the Perpetual Care Trust. And probably 20+ years ago, went to the courts and we went through a process called the sell-fray, and we were able to merge a number of different small trusts with a couple of really significant trusts. And that has, the interest off of that has been able to fund a number of other projects that we've been doing. From fencing to some other planned kind of plantings to individual who comes and does some different renovations and historical
There was
repairs.
a car the other day with a writing on the side, cemetery, something.
He is currently in the United States and North America, he's one of the leading cemetery historic stone preservationists. He did like Jamestown's Lost Cemetery, and he's, it's an incredible amount of really niche information and knowledge in one place, and he's been keeping our our cemeteries up. And he's focused on, he sort of sets what stones he wants to do. We often suggest stuff, and sometimes he does it, sometimes he doesn't. But when we had like a Civil War, one of the anniversaries of the Civil War battles and other stuff, he came in and he really spent time and really spiffed those up, because we had, the historians had reenactors like on the common, so you made sure that stuff was looking huge. But with the school stuff going on, some of the obelisks and other stuff from some of our really pretty cool Lyme residents, you can't have obelisks like tipping, because, they would fall off. This last year, we had a person on a medical emergency that drove into the old cemetery, causing some pretty significant damage, but her insurance paid for it. And he came and reset all of it, because you couldn't get equipment in. And like one of the stones, I think it was 950 pounds, and he did it with one hand. And a tripod and a chain fall, and it was just, it's a lost art, but it's pretty neat. But our current operating budget, we're transitioning from a 30-year probably employee who was in the sexton's position. And then we had a municipal employee, worked for the highway department, who's also filling in as a sexton. And now we have Frank Cutting as our sexton, and it is, what this shows majority of is when we're now looking at the amount of time that Frank is spending meeting with individuals preparing to be buried, and then supporting the family members. And it's sort of remarkable, the amount of time, and we were trying to calculate what his hourly wage was, and it was not. But we're doing we've gone from having a traditional vault embalmed burial only to doing a hybrid natural burial, which Lyme is supporting for actually, a long time. But as it's become more and more, public has become more and more aware, it's just, for us, it's not that big a deal, but for Frank, it's chewing up. It's individual meeting with families is taking like 3 times the amount of time as they try and explain it. So that's really where we're at. So this shows an increase, but this is where we're at. I don't know if anyone has any direct questions, Rich?
Yeah, I see there's a big drop in the budget, and you were talking about the interest from the trust funds?
Right, and the interest,
Are they supplementing this budget?
no, and
Okay.
we're limited by law, and of course, we would say what we can and can't do with the interest from that.
The drop
This-
is
you'll
because the
see the
mowing's
drop.
not there.
There's a mowing contract
Yep.
that we have for a private person, and the trustees, the cemetery trustees, we're not doing that. We do not get into issuing, requests for bids and then awarding contract. That's one of the legal duties that we said, select board, Tad, you're it. And
Okay.
it's like, also like the financial dealing with the trusts and the investments that legally we're empowered to do, but we're like, zero to that. You know,
So that's pending
So that,
selectmen act.
that second line, that mowing, is we're waiting for the select
mowing
board
bid,
bids to come back in, so that's,
So that number will appear. The
That
mowing
number will
line
appear.
appear here
yep.
and bring it back up. I see, okay.
But I don't have
You don't.
that number,
Okay, all
so
right,
we
thank you,
don't
that's
know
fine.
that now.
So it will be up some.
Mhm.
Well, and, presumably it'll be in line with the numbers that were there last year, but, okay.
It'll be
Yeah.
up some
Good.
from now.
So that's
It'll be up
where,
some, probably.
yeah, but it was through the transition, we didn't purchase, we're not maintaining a small tracked dump truck. We don't have a dump truck, we don't have a trailer to carry loam and other stuff like that. And we're not going to purchase or lease or own and house and maintain an excavator. we contracted out with a person who does, you know, more than half of the graves in small towns in New Hampshire, Vermont, in our area. So,
Well, for the full burials.
for full burials, and then our sexton is doing the cremations, and then for natural burials, we haven't still done a unvaulted burial in Highland, or yet, but we've, other places and other individuals who do that, we'll support them.
When you say natural burials, is that green burials? Same
Green,
thing?
it's green, yes,
Okay.
doesn't involve a vault.
Yeah. Good, that's terrific.
Yeah.
I have a question. Mike, how many cemeteries does the town take care of?
Okay, the reality is we have we have 5 cemeteries that we're currently involved in. We have Beale and Lyme Center, Porter, north on Route, on River Road, and Gilbert, south on River Road. And then we have the Old Cemetery, which is like, and then Highland Cemeteries are 5. And there's 3 of them really require twice, 3 times a year, someone goes in and takes a look at it. And it's not, and the plantings and the stuff, like in Beale and Gilbert, there's no grass. And, you know, sextons and cemetery commissions from 50 years ago, you know, worked hard to not have grass and plantings. It's just an acidy, you know, pine needles or moss and other stuff. And that's, so it's very limited requirements for that kind of maintenance. Highland, the active cemeteries really of Highland and the Old Cemetery are where the majority of,
And that's the one that's down on Route 10?
Right.
Down below, okay.
that's the Old Cemetery, which is like not our newest, but like second newest.
Thank you.
Yep.
So I hate to get a lawnmower after Gilbert.
How much room you got?
A whipper.
We, reality is cemetery, cremations, we, 90% of our burials in the cemeteries this year were cremations. Cremations save a lot of space. Natural burials, and unvaulted will be, I think even a better multi-generational use of the same plot of land. Which is, not that it's about real estate, but it's better.
I think the traditional burial space is limited.
Our traditional burial space, we have, we certainly have 20 to 30 years of burial space in Highland Cemetery.
I don't know, it covers.
I think we're cool, we'll be there.
Yeah, we're cool, Will. You youngsters up here, I mean,
We're enjoying these.
anybody else? Any more questions
We're gonna
for?
go green or just green?
No serious questions.
No, I have the question. The third line, is that a new line? Because you were just talking about you can't maintain equipment.
Now, the equipment rental rental fees, burial charge, got zeroed out, and we would, is decreased. Is that the mowing contract, is that the
No, it's-
equipment
Went
rental
down.
burial charge?
Yeah, you have a $2,000 line there, number 3 on your check.
I think that's a mistake, Mike.
Or is that a rental for an excavator if you need it?
Nope.
No, because the guy comes over from Thetford to do all
Billy Hodges
that,
goes.
but,
Okay.
Mine
you
is
know,
Hayes?
all Frank needs is a shovel.
Yeah, so, Gina?
You know, it's interesting, but we had extra money, I think, in there, you and Lori, when you talked, for gravel.
We were gonna add
Gravel.
materials.
Right, it's supposed to be
Mine is for the
material.
materials, cause
Not
we
gravel.
had, no, for loam.
Yeah,
We did a project with some of the roadway, we brought in material, but we took that from the stuff. But this was, we
I
had
thought
some
material was supposed
sinkings.
to be 1,500.
Yeah, so, wait a second,
So
Sorry.
scratch out the 2,000
Yeah.
and make the 800, 1,500?
Yeah,
yeah, so wait a second,
I'm pretty sure that's it.
yeah.
What'd you make, you messed that up, Michael.
Yeah, and like I printed this,
Hey, Michael, how'd you do that?
yeah, so that's where we're at. And the perpetual care expenses is being borne by the perpetual care. The big thing is the sexton stipend, is the $3,500, which we sort of merged it over, and then just clearly was like, I mean, it just didn't make me touch it.
So it's 8,600.
Where's the $2,000? What the hell is that for?
Third line down.
Way to go, Hayes. That's right.
In other words,
A party of dead people.
we can
I have
expect
questions.
significant revisions in the spreadsheet
Yes.
in the selectmen's posted.
Yeah,
When the
Is
mowing
that the good
contract is
summary of it?
in there.
That's
Yeah.
perfect.
that's perfect.
All right.
And yeah,
Is something else wrong?
no,
Okay.
He's worried about the
no, that's
comparison.
$2,000. Okay, that's all I have.
Yeah, there's no,
Any more questions for Mike?
I know that like salaries, everyone wants more salaries, but I can tell you is, our sexton is, doing
Here.
a great job, and the reality is, the $3,500 is, not. It's, I mean, he's on call like 24 hours a day, every weekend, and cemeteries, depending on how well the family is, they're like 6 or 8 hours, and he's gotta be, he's just.
You're dealing with people in the worst time in their lives.
Yep, and that's where we're at. Okay?
Thank you, Michael.
Rock on.
Thank you. I think we're on to the executives.
you are. Okay,
Oh,
Are you gonna present it, or is Judy gonna give
No,
us it?
Judy has nothing to do with
the
this.
board has not done this at all, that's right. The board has not.
All right, what are you asking for that the board hasn't approved yet?
Well, I'm just looking at this, for some reason, I think I didn't. Yeah, I didn't. So I have a surprise number to throw in there, but I'll do that after I give my big spiel. I'm telling you, it's been a week, we've had people out in the office, and then I was gone in a conference all day, so I didn't get my last minute stuff done, sorry, guys. All right, so let's go, let's see, what increased significantly?
Healthcare and salaries, probably.
That's, well, yeah, that's it. So the insurance, is a 5.9 increase in the policy, as long as there's no other changes to the person, the employee's plan. The selectmen have said to calculate a 3.3% COLA. And then some employees have received merit raises. So those are the changes in the wages and the benefits. And it's a 7.6% increase with that. So what I'm going to, no,
Yes.
I know, never mind, this is perfect, Jesus.
It's good, comes
Yes,
over on
yes,
this page,
yes.
isn't it?
I know it's a big
Let me
increase
just-
in select board supplies.
Okay, yeah, that's there. That's because, our supplies has gotten a lot more expensive. Plus, we seem to be supplying other offices. No, it's just, yeah, everything's more expensive. We
What-
upped it by $200,
Yeah,
that's all.
well,
We're gonna go over this year.
all right, my question, and this brings it up. A lot of places found that consolidating the supply cabinet, for lack of a better term,
Mhm.
between all the offices here can sometimes save money.
Well, we
Rather
already do
than
that
having
there.
3 or 4 different little supplies cabinets.
Yeah, and we all order from the same place, so we all get the same deal, you know, we have a really good deal on paper, and, you know, we get the lowest prices, so.
Well, I
we
mean,
work
my
very
concern
hard.
is sometimes they're bulk, sometimes you cross a threshold in a bulk discount when you combine.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that even if they order it here and keep it in their office, it all goes on the same account. at WVU's.
So you do get the
So
bulk.
it is,
interest.
yes, we do,
That's my comment on that.
yes.
Why do we see 3 or 4 different office supply line items?
Well, because they,
I know, all right, all right.
oh, okay. Oh, I'm just explaining it, I thought you were asking me a question.
All right, but you said
Yeah, yep,
we can still not do it this way
Right.
and get the bulk in discounts.
correct, that's correct,
Which I'm after the bulk discounts.
okay. So there you go, that one's simple.
Okay.
Any more questions on any questions on the executive? Before the selectmen
I
take
never
over.
say, only spend a third of it, are we not paying them their high wages?
Who paying who their high wages? The select board?
Yeah, it says
Yes,
that left to spend 67%.
Well, there'll be a check coming in the mail soon and, we'll all go out and celebrate.
Little joke.
Yeah, you buy one meal at a restaurant for what the selectmen get paid.
So, thank you, good joke.
I would have laughed at it, I didn't hear it.
All right, well, it's town clerk's office, I guess, is driving the,
Emily is not here, she had previous plans that she could not change. So, really, there's no changes. I'm gonna review it with you, and if there's questions that she needs to answer, we can address that. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a question about the deputy town clerk wages that, has 40% left to spend in it. And that's because the replacement for 4 different part-time people is scheduled to work about 20 hours instead of 36. So this line, even though over in the 25 request, it's up, it includes another 16 hours that somebody else will be hired for. Whether it will be one person for 16 or 2 people, we don't know yet.
now, the other question I have about this, we were talking about one point of combining the tax collector and the town clerk into a single position. Is that still floating around and we
The
haven't
town
voted
voted
on
that down.
We voted it down?
Yeah,
the-
we took it to town meeting,
Right.
it was voted down,
Oh.
and
Right.
I think,
All right, well, we can't bring it up again in 1 year.
in a couple of years probably,
It has,
but
but-
we'll let Emily
Yeah,
Settle
Yeah,
out for a
Emily's
set-
getting
while.
set
her
up
feet
her
wet and working her way in.
office the way
and-
she wants it, and we'll see
Right,
how it works.
Right,
Because
right.
I think we have pretty good tax collector right now that's up to the job, so
Yeah.
let's just see how that goes. If she doesn't wanna run, maybe we'll bring it up again.
Yeah, well, and to be perfectly clear, I should probably wait until we get on the next page, just to confuse everybody.
All right, confuse us now.
Well, I think you can probably handle a couple things at once. So in keeping with this deputy town clerk wages at the 36 hours total, the, anywhere from maybe 10 to 16 of those hours, we're talking about adding a bookkeeper into the financial administrative section. So that would enable us to have a full-time 36-hour position if we get 20 hours in the financial part and 16 in the town clerk section, because Emily will need another person in there. And we really, really need another person in our office doing significant work.
In order to get anybody that's any good, you probably have to make it a full-time position with
It would
benefits.
be 36 hours with benefits.
Split
Well,
between two departments.
Split between
maybe
two
even
departments. We're feeling like that would really utilize somebody, because I don't think we need 36 hours in our office, at least right now. but I will be retiring. I know, before, 10 years, no, that's, like, in like 3 years is my plan. And I would really like to get somebody in there, get them up to speed, get them learning things, knowing things. We need the extra help, we need the help. I feel like I do a lot of different things, which I love about the job. But there's a few things that I'm not doing quite as well as I'd like to. And that bothers me, and it's all about time. And a lot of it is taking care of our bills and doing our spreadsheets and all that kind of stuff that I really think we could utilize a bookkeeper for.
I know at the time, you went from basically being bookkeeper to administrative assistant or whatever. The whole topic of combining the AA and the finance person was subject to a lot of discussion. It may be time to discuss it again, Judy.
It may be.
That's why Dina's bringing it up, Dick. And I haven't had this discussion with the board yet either.
But I remember we had some serious reservations when you basically took two positions.
I don't remember that, but there you go.
I don't think you were part
I
of
don't
those
think you were
discussions.
part of the discussions, and I'm not sure.
That's
I
probably
was
why
at
I
the
didn't
time
know it.
either. But we did, and we will brief everybody more fully when
Right.
I can bring in the select board budget, but when I was first a selectman, as when you were, there was a bookkeeper, there was administrative assistant, there was a clerk who was part-time, and somebody else that came in and out, but it was,
Came in and did deed stuff.
yeah,
all
so,
entering
you
and all
know,
that
we
stuff.
really have been down a person, and,
Or at least a part-time person.
there's a lot more going on than 10 years ago even, or 5 years ago, so it's.
I was gonna say, I really feel like it's been, of course, it's me I'm talking about, but I really feel like it's been handled reasonably well over the years. But now, the demand from people, the demand from the state, the demand from, all these different entities that we work with. I mean, one grant takes me hours and hours and hours and hours of work. So, it's grown.
Well, we heard the same thing from the fire department in terms of the administrative workload on the fire chief and et cetera. It's something that is externally imposed upon the town.
Mhm.
And I don't know how these towns like Hart's location can ever function.
Well, I certainly don't feel good about asking for a full-time person because I don't necessarily think that's there. It might be in 3 or 4 years, I don't know, but right now, I think 20 hours is reasonable. And then the other 16, the person can
Well,
pick up in the town clerk's office because there's
Well,
plenty of
even
coverage
when you
there.
split them that
Plenty.
way, they're still full-time as
Right.
far as the benefits are concerned.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the state says.
That's why we did it, that's why the thought of doing it that way. And then you draw candidates also that are
Well, benefits
more
are,
candidates
Yeah.
because you're full-time and
Yeah.
benefits.
benefits are important for
Mhm.
getting people
Yep.
sometimes. Particularly what healthcare costs.
Mhm. Okay.
Any
So are we
further
still on
questions about
financial?
executive and financial before we
Well,
move on?
We do have
Well, I think, yeah.
the tax collector here,
Yep.
she might wanna
Yep.
go through the rest of the financial administration piece.
Sure.
You would like?
I mean, there isn't, I don't think there's any, changes either, the salary was the same as everywhere. What was the only other, the postage.
Postage, right.
And I think two things, one, I, was taught how to actually, use the postage thing, do you know what's it called?
The postage meter.
Yeah, and charge it to me rather than
Right.
it being charged to something else, which I
Right.
didn't know. And also the, there was a new requirement for, sending out liens. And it was like astronomical, but it's like $22 or $26 per lien to send it to people because it has to be something signature, blah, 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 anyway,
Registered mail return receipt requested
Yeah,
type
right.
thing.
yeah, so.
Or hire the sheriff to deliver them for even more money.
Yeah.
So what line is that one?
If you go up from deputy, it's the one above.
It says
Tax
tax
collector
collector
postage.
postage.
Yeah.
So the leaning is also a part of the postage?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't follow that, thank you.
Well, if I put the numbers on this, it might have been a little easier to,
That's all right.
see, I'm getting old.
But don't you add that on to the taxes owed?
There is a fee, yeah, there is a fee,
Yeah.
but it's barely covers it, I guess, yeah.
Hmm.
But those who have liens oftentimes,
Can't pay.
You still have to have it in the budget to pay it up front
Yeah, the fees go on the revenue end,
Mhm.
they go on the revenue
when
side.
we collect it.
Right.
Mhm.
You have to adjust to the government that you can't spend it, even if it's reimbursable, if it isn't appropriated.
Yeah, right.
Mhm. And I think the only other thing that went up, other than the salaries here, is that I bumped the computer consultant up $500. We seem to be needing a little more computer IT assistance. But I think that's about it. The only other thing is, we are looking at replacing our copier. And whether that's gonna be able to fall under the capital reserve fund or not, I don't know.
We've sort of used that, it was called Computer System Capital Reserve Fund. I think we've used it for the copier in the past, haven't we, sometimes, and sometimes not.
Depends.
You know.
Well, we just haven't looked at it, and I haven't talked to the board about what they would prefer to do.
How much is the cost?
We've been stretching the definition of that
We have the
capital reserve
copier.
fund.
Jordan got an estimate on it, I'll have to tell you tomorrow, I can't remember, but it's over $5,000.
Okay,
Now, if you get one, will you get one that's network capable so that you can
Yes,
use it to,
yes,
as a
it will
printer
be
as well,
it will be a copier, it will be a fax machine also.
and a printer?
Well, we already have printers, but we could probably do that if we need to, yes.
Because I think you can get everything all together, and adding a feature doesn't cost much more, if any.
Yeah, it does, but that's okay.
No, it doesn't.
We added a feature for faxing and it's like $700, it's not that much.
Yeah, but nobody does fax anymore.
Oh,
they
yes,
still
we
do.
do.
The
Well, you
government
do.
does.
Oh, yes, we do.
It's
We
ridiculous,
have things
but
we
they
have to
do.
You
fax.
can't use email for a lot of stuff, you have to use fax,
It's crazy.
particularly in banking. Because of
Yeah,
internet.
we have a scanner, but we will be able to scan with this
Yeah,
copier.
it has to be PDFs and other,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, well, yeah, all right.
it's crazy.
Are we ready to go on for reevaluation of property? And we've got a big drop, did you leave something out?
No, this is another section that, until the select board kinda decides what's going on. With the reval that is planned to happen in 25, the assessor will not need to list and measure anything. They'll still do the pickups, they'll still do some of their regular stuff, but they won't have to, do a section of it, so we took off some money there.
Sounds good, at least something's done, yeah.
And I think, other than the software, that increased a teeny bit. I think that's it. Software and the website increased a little. So,
So who's paying for the revaluation? Is that,
well, if it ends up going through, there's a capital reserve fund with some money in it, and then the rest of it will have by a warrant article.
I don't think we've got enough in the capital reserve fund.
For a full reval, it's $95,000, so you do not, you have 40 something, I think.
It's not twenty,
No,
that's, it's 60 something.
60 something.
Oh, 60 something, there you go.
But still got a reason.
So 40, yeah, so there you go,
So I may not celebrate too much yet.
right?
Yeah, and then I would,
It
I would
didn't
think
really go
that the
down.
drop in the assessor is gonna be back, when we aren't doing the
Oh,
reval.
yeah.
So it's
yeah.
not really,
It's just a one-time.
it's not really a
just a-
decrease.
No,
When was the last year that we did the full reval? It's
It
less
was
than 5 years ago,
2021.
21,
Yeah.
so it's almost 5 years.
So
Well,
it-
it'll be
it's-
4.
It's a year early, yeah, 4 years.
And it's, we're doing it early because the equalization ratio is off, like the state's telling us
No.
we have to do it a year early,
No, no, the state's not telling you you have to do it.
so why are you doing it a year early? I'm just curious.
There's,
The board decided that, given a lot of the difficulties that were being expressed in the lack of trust that many people had in the reval that was done prior, and we were close enough to needing it, we didn't have to do it, the state didn't say we had to. We decided that we would just go ahead, bite the bullet, and do it a year early.
So, but I guess my question then is like, if there is conflict in doing this new reval, are we addressing the issues, right? Will the new reevaluation be done differently in some way to address, because then you would just expect the conflicts not going to go
They're not
away,
going,
and
yeah.
so I'm just wondering if there is a way that, like, you can think about that. I mean, I understand some of the background on what the conflict is, so.
here's what I was told by Vision when I spoke to the gentleman about some people in town. Judy, this is okay for me to say. Spoke to some people, to him, and explained that what some people were upset about. And part of it was that the higher end didn't
Right.
go, up enough for them and all this stuff.
It
They
was
felt
not
there were
fair.
lots of discrepancies and it wasn't fair.
Yes.
And his comment was, well, that's not our job to make things fair. Our job is to do the assessment and what we come up with factual information, depending on the sales, depending on the comparables we use, it is what it is. And it may be exactly the same. They may not like it.
Right, because I
They
think
can't fix
fundamentally, the algorithm is the
You-
like, I don't know, in my estimation, the algorithm is a problem, the inputs and how, the inputs that go into the algorithm are sort of the issues. Like, just as an example, they look at the size of a property and say it has 4 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, they do kind of often in a new building assess the quality of the kitchen. But they don't necessarily assess, right, like whether you have porcelain tile or limestone
Absolutely,
tile.
they
Oh, they do.
Oh,
They do that
absolutely.
now?
Yeah, absolutely.
They always have done that.
Yeah,
What do
they
you
always
mean
have a
now?
grade.
Oh, yeah. how
For
many
the whole house.
Yes.
Disposers, how many bathrooms, how many flushes.
Yeah.
So then why is it so off? Cause I agree, it is.
It's not
It
off.
looks, it appears to be
And I give you
off.
an example. I own several properties at different, they're not in Lyme, but to give you an idea, what I would call a not very exciting ranch house in Hanover has gone from $400,000 to $975,000, whereas things in the $1.5 million to $2 million have hardly moved at all. The middle market, I've been stunned
Uh-huh.
at what happened. We have a bigger house there, it's going up very little, and in fact, I've sold 5 of them. It is in fact true. I mean, I was stunned at what,
Right.
and even people who paid for it. You paid that for that? And they said, yeah, there's nothing else to buy.
Right.
So it's very real, because there's a certain level that people can pay. And then above that, if you have, 2 people working, 1 lawyer, 1 doctor, so they can pay a certain amount. Once you get above a certain amount, it's not there.
And when a house is put on the market for $850,000 and they have a bidding war and it ends up selling for $1.6 million or $1.7 million, that changes. That shoots the whole
Mhm.
assessment thing. I mean, it just, and Lyme is a very, very desirable place to live. And from COVID until now, things in our town are still selling. And they're still selling for well over what they're assessed at.
Basically, what's happening is the cheaper houses get bid way up, and the expensive houses is bid up as far as there's anybody that can afford them.
Yeah, because all of a sudden, you start charging $2 million for a house, you know.
There's
most
nobody
people
out there.
They can't pay for it, and they don't need it, so you don't have the competition. And in fact, the building of the house may be more expensive than what you can get for it. Whereas in the middle of the market, that's not the case.
Yeah, everything is graded, you know, there's different grades, different levels, there's different codes for, you know, granite counters as opposed to formica counters.
Yeah.
Hardwood floor as opposed to carpet, and, you know, quality of carpentry even counts.
Yeah, I like to tell this story. Probably, it's an old story and it's from a while ago. We had an assessor that I think everybody trusted and she was just really great.
Didn't
And-
like her, but they
Well,
trusted her.
Yeah, right. She was pretty open about
Yeah.
what she thought about your property. And it was
That's
a
a nice way
very
to put it.
expensive house here in town that someone from the Boston area had built, custom built. And they liked it here in Lyme for a couple of years and decided to sell, and they put this was years ago, $2 million price tag on it. They weren't getting any action, and they came to the assessor and said, listen, you've only got us assessed at like $600,000 or $700,000.
Right.
You've gotta up the assessment so that when the people look at what the assessment is, then they know here's the value. And she looked at them and she said, well, I can't do that. This is very poorly built. The quality is not there, and it was like, oh, this is so refreshing. But it took years, but eventually it sold for quite a lot of money, but it was, it's really, it is a difficult field, and I understand people not being happy when they see the discrepancies, because they are there. And one of the reasons we decided was, you know, we're gonna go to a different company, we're gonna hire a firm that, this is their, not that we have faith in our assessor, but we just felt this was a better way to go. Do the whole thing, make sure the measurements are right, make sure the acreage is right, hopefully catch some of the stuff that we don't know about, maybe the assessor missed, and hopefully people that know where there's something that's missing will let us know so we can point folks out. But, I don't know where it's gonna stand, but that was our thought. And yeah, it's a lot of money in 1 year.
It's a lot of money, but the problem is if you don't have it assessed properly.
Well, if we don't do
Your
it
whole
this year,
basis of your
we'll do it
tax
next.
revenue
Right.
is,
Yeah.
Well, if it doesn't
Messed
happen
up.
this year, it has to happen, I mean, if it doesn't happen in 25,
Next
it has
year.
to happen in 26.
Yeah,
So,
26 is the year.
the only, the difference is we're gonna have to pay some out of, other than the capital reserve fund to pay for it, I'm doing it a year early.
I don't think we're gonna answer your question here.
Which is-
The assessment's not gonna answer your question.
Oh, yeah, no. I
You need to
didn't-
go to Concord, talk to them about a better system.
Well, I mean, I think it's a national, I mean, I don't think it's
It is.
limited to even New Hampshire. The just issues in how to assess, it's like what even the assessor, I think, at the public, it wasn't a public hearing, but at the
The
Lyme School
meeting.
cafeteria, he said
Meeting.
it's an art as
Right.
much as it's a science, and
Right.
I
Right.
never appreciated that comment makes no
I know.
sense to me.
It's
When you're
art.
talking about numbers and you have algorithms, it shouldn't be an art, but there is a certain sense of subjectivity, and you have
Right.
different assessors, and it's just human beings
Definitely.
doing the job. So I would say at minimum, I think it's good that we have someone else doing it, right? Because there apparently is maybe a subjectiveness to
Yeah. I think it's
assessing.
better when you have a profession. And this rise in the mid-market is very true, because we do basically our living is real estate investment. Higher end properties have proven not to be successful investment. Middle and low, not low income, but what's low now, it's like 375. Between 375 and I can't believe it, 900,000 is is ridiculous, but that's what people pay.
Well,
And with
yeah.
lower interest rates and people, the way they look, they don't necessarily look at the price. They say, oh, how much is this gonna cost me every month? And depending on their income and if it's deductible, because the mortgage is deductible, it's not subject to the SALT, the state and local tax, $10,000 limit. So they'll say, oh gee, I can afford this much. And that's what's driving the prices up.
Well, the other thing, there was an article this week in the Wall Street Journal on the things, these large companies that are buying up residential single-family houses
And renting them out.
and renting them out. And the criteria they're using for selection is basically, they're going into areas and finding the undervalued house neighborhoods with the houses in the $300,000 to $450,000 bracket. And that's what these people like Blackstone are investing in.
Yep.
And that's who you're competing against in this market,
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
because that's where the profit is. And they'll hold it for 5 years and double their money. That's what those
Sometimes.
trusts are betting on.
We owned a higher value house in Hartford, Connecticut, and lost 70% of the value. So, a higher end house, whereas the lower ones are going up, so,
Yeah,
you know.
crystal ball time.
All right, let's move on. Legal expense.
I was just gonna say, the only other thing I can say about legal is that I just carried over what the board put in last year. As you can see, we're already over this year, so I don't know what they'll do there, so.
Personnel administration, that's just a function of the salary.
Right,
Financial administration, we talked about that.
yeah, we already
didn't we?
did that, yep. Yeah, I had Clifford, I put it in separately in case.
General
Steve or
government
somebody else
buildings?
had something different. Yep. The salary changed and benefits changed, other than that, it's the same.
Does the town pay the utilities for the academy building?
It's a town building.
And then we just get rent, is it rent revenue then?
Yeah, there's,
No. There's some.
It's modest, but yes.
it's, yeah, CCL pays rent, and then you have the yoga woman that pays to use it.
I see.
There's might be a couple.
We don't break even on the academy building.
No, right,
Nope.
and
Oh, right here.
isn't the Pike House this little cottage that's right here
This
when
is
you
the
get
Pike
down?
House,
Right.
this is the Pike House.
Yeah,
We break even on that.
And that,
building,
well, yeah, the rent is $1,325
Up here?
a month, over here,
yeah,
yeah.
when you turn in here
We
to
are,
come into
yeah.
the
Yeah,
parking
on
lot,
this
it's on the
driveway.
left.
So
yeah.
that's a revenue generating, and the academy building does not break even.
CCL pays 44,000
No, they
something?
pay 6,500 now,
Yeah, we
Is
up
that
your
a
it
month?
rent.
just
A
increased,
month?
no, a year,
A year,
a
okay.
year.
The historians are out of it.
They have their own little place
Yeah.
now.
Boy, they-
Yeah.
Insurance, that we have no control over whatsoever, do we?
Well, we do, depends on what we buy, how much we buy of it. As you can see,
The
it has,
insurance is way up.
the insurance has gone up, yep, and
Oh, yeah.
we're very lucky, we have a cap on it. Can't go up more than 9%,
And it went up
and
9%.
that's right. We also had some, this is the property, no, this is only property liability I'm talking about. That is, due to additional equipment
Mhm.
that was added on.
Do you have, are your, sometimes insurance will be like for 2 years, because the increases have been staggering.
We have a
We have a
3-year,
building that's not very exciting, and in 9 years, it's up 87%.
yeah, we have a 3-year, it's not a contract, but it's a partnership
Yeah,
with Primex. And as long as we take certain safety courses and our employees do certain things, we get a discount every year. And there's a guarantee that it cannot go up over 9% over those years.
Those 3 years.
So, So, we're lucky there. And then, of course, workers' comp went up because the wages have gone up, and we have had, it's due to the wages.
So our experience, it's due to the increase in salaries more than
Correct.
the experience indicator.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I don't know what our experience ratio is right off the top of my head, but I can find out. But no, it's salary.
I think the regional planning commission was upping their dues a little bit, or is that in planning and zoning?
That's,
Planning and zoning,
yeah,
and I did put that in there,
All right,
in planning and zoning.
That's what
just
David-
up from one of their meetings yesterday.
Mhm. Yes, I was sent that number right away when I requested it by somebody.
Megan's pretty good sometimes.
Oh, no, this guy did it for me.
But you also need to bear in mind that in exchange for paying the dues, we get a 20 or 25% reduction of any services that we buy, consulting services we buy from the regional planning agency. So the billing rate, for the hourly billing rate is 25%, 20 or 25% less if we're a member.
And they also send us notices on a lot of grant application possibilities too.
I said you.
That we would never be able to do the
Right,
search to find.
that's right. Yes, no, they're great.
This, the current executive director and the staff are focused quite a bit differently than the prior administration. And they have broadened significantly the scope of things that they apply for and get beyond just pure planning grants. So the budget has, the revenue and budget on the expense side has more than doubled in 5 years. And obviously, it's all going to member towns.
Yeah.
For things that they presumably want to have the agency help with.
Their rent is going down, I hope, with this bringing the
Well,
offices.
yes, we lost the conference room and an extra space, so, we're basically kind of like a telephone booth now. We'll probably be moving next year to another location because that space has gotten too expensive.
That's a disaster space.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just not suitable anymore,
Yeah.
but.
they're in Lebanon.
Bill, where is that space?
What's that?
Where is that space?
It's on High Street. Well, excuse me, Water Street.
Water Street,
It's the first building as you head down Water
The
Street
mill.
on the right side.
Oh, right.
Okay,
It's up on
Second
the
floor, the
second
mill.
floor.
okay.
There's
Yeah,
a
it's-
real
it's-
rabbit warren in there.
Well, yes and no, I mean, there's a couple of companies basically have 80 or 90% of the space now, so.
I was looking for an office in there one day, I think I spent 20 minutes before I found it.
Yeah.
They used to be in the old,
They used to be in a
near
house.
the old high school,
Yeah,
or, yeah,
yeah, they were in a house.
so they moved out of there.
Our lease requires a 1-year notice to renew, and it's a 3-year lease when we do renew, so I think that the writing's on the wall, we'll be going elsewhere. Where, I don't know.
Yeah,
That's up to the staff to figure it out.
well, we've been meeting over in the library for the TAC, for example, rather than in the offices.
I have a question or a clarification on the insurance. This 9% increase, we're looking against what was actually paid for property insurance, not was voted, not the line item that was voted.
Correct. I thought that was a fair comparative, because obviously I didn't realize when I did the budget last year that it was gonna go up quite so much this year due to some new equipment.
It throws off the map.
Yes, it does.
Well,
Don't be
library-
doing the math. No.
The
Yes, but yes,
whole
you're right.
insurance
Yes.
industry, due to some very big losses in the last 2 years, has really jacked the prices. Wait till you get your auto insurance renewal.
A lot of personal insurance has changed, but again, Primex is very, very good to municipalities. We're lucky to have them. Okay, and then the debt service.
There's nothing you can do about that, we already spent it.
Well, look,
Are we paying off one of the bonds this
Yeah.
year?
it's all paid off, that's it. There's
Yes.
no payment next year for the highway garage. So
Oh, but
there's,
the school's got a new one coming here too.
there, well, it was gonna
Gonna
point
love it.
We're paying it on the school instead of the highway.
You're gonna come in incognito.
No, you're gonna be
No,
paying for
no,
bookkeeper,
I'm gonna own it,
but
but what I
it was
wanna
about
do
the
is have a
same amount.
slide in the presentation that says countdown to 2034, when 2 bonds get retired.
Yes, yes,
That's right.
that's right.
So, and I guess I didn't send out a spreadsheet on the, health and welfare, but everything, you know, the overseer went up the 3.3%. Everybody else, we've heard from all the different companies, there's a couple that went up a little bit, but I've sent everything out to you guys in a different earlier email.
We
So you
had
can
an
read
earlier
all
one
of
with the
them.
letters from
So,
everybody.
right, but the only one we haven't heard from yet is the visiting nurses, so, and Jordan has contacted them a couple of times, but we still haven't heard from them, but I'm assuming they're gonna want the same amount.
So
So.
can you also have Jordan just check the, I think it's the one that is in Mescal and it's out in Gilderton.
Yeah, the public service,
Yeah, it's got a new name in the last couple of
Yep.
years.
yep.
How many Lyme residents are actually
It's
serviced?
in their report,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Just pull that
I'll
out.
pull the report out
Be
for you.
interested to know.
Yeah, I forget what they call, that was the one I had the most trouble with. Because it's a multi-town thing, they assess on a per capita basis, rather than the services they deliver to your community.
A lot of them do that though.
Yeah,
I just don't think we're getting the level of service that say Enfield and that area where their home portage are. And they brag about things like their flu clinics. You don't need a flu clinic in the Congregational Church anymore now that all the pharmacies are giving flu clinics. So, I mean,
Well, they do one in Orford that a lot of Lyme people go
I know.
to every year.
you know,
yeah.
but
Community Care of Lyme did one in the church last year, and a lot of people came to that one, because I helped do it, it was COVID and flu. A lot of people, it was at the, same night as the tree festival, I think, wasn't it?
Because I don't know.
Or,
I
no,
went
it was a
to
day, yeah, because it was well, the tree festival's kind of daytime, I said night,
It
but
is
it was,
early afternoon,
yeah, and I think I helped check
Or
on it.
early
And
evening.
No,
there
but
we had a lot of people.
I'm using that as,
Was this
maybe
the
as a
flu
bad
stuff?
example.
Yeah.
Cause we just
Because
did
we
it in
used to have
Orford,
them
and
like-
we're passing
Yeah.
out
We haven't
things, I
recently.
forget what they call the organization, saying,
Yes.
free to you, please support the organization, I forget what the organization was, that did the one in Orford Church.
Yeah, it may have been the same one, I don't know, you could ask Community Care of Lyme
I think it
who
was.
they organized with, but, yeah, they
And
did
then one
COVID,
time
they
they
did
had all
COVID
the-
and flu.
They had all the first year med students, and I said, have you given these shots before? He said, well, if you had come at 9 o'clock, I
They
would have
would've
said
been
no.
no.
But it's 11 o'clock now, and I'm getting really good. I said, good, next time I'll be here at noon.
Oh, that's all right.
Anybody have anything else? We've gone over the hour.
Close though.
Any questions, more questions about the budget? If you have any, and you see any when you get home, just send an email my way, I'm happy to answer anything, or find anything out we need.
Now, we do not have a meeting next week, and then the week after is our first round with the Board of Selectmen. So we're giving them 2 weeks to get their act together this
Boy,
year.
we need it.
Yes.
So, enjoy your week off next week.
Thank you, I'll move to adjourn.
Okay,
In the office, they
Too late to object. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed can stay here.
Yes. I don't know, Dina will lock you in.
I wasn't sure, I thought it was quite as funny as she did. I said, Jordan, the 26-year-old in the office.
Which one?
They said the magic
Yeah,
You laugh.
I did that, yes, totally.